Hello, this is Professor Marsh, and this is our lecture for Prelude 1 and Chapter 1 in our textbook. Although this being an online course, you'll do a lot of self-studying. I think it will be helpful to follow along on these lectures. And some of the things we're going to talk about in Prelude 1 is the different ways of listening to music today. Some of those methods will be very familiar to you, and some will be new to a lot of you. So we'll cover a couple things here, such as development of listening skills, especially for new kinds of music. We're going to be listening to a lot of classical music in this course, and that's going to be an unfamiliar musical experience for many students. Some of the things about that is we do need to repeatedly listen to those pieces of music in order to get familiar with them. So your listening assignments, you'll want to hit them over and over again, make a playlist, and listen to music as you're walking around campus. If you're driving in your car, you can listen to these pieces of music, and in that way you'll get very familiar with the music. Each of you will be attending a live classical music concert. That's one of our big requirements for this course. So today we're going to talk about some of the conventions of a classical music concert, such as when to applaud and what to wear, because these things are quite different than a rock concert and some of the other things you're used to. Classical music does have traditions going back hundreds and hundreds of years. They may seem a little archaic to us today, but that's the way they do things. So to be a good audience member, we need to know what the conventions are and go along with it. We'll look at a few options as far as where to find music and how to find different kinds of music. And again, as I said before, understanding the more complex types of music we're going to be listening to requires that you be engaged as a listener through active listening, not just passive listening, to the music while you're doing homework or something, but really paying attention. We can always, if we listen very closely, we can hear lots of different layers in music. By listening very carefully, we can start to discern the different layers in the music. All right, we already talked a bit about listening to music and how to practice getting familiar with some of the music assignments. For this class, be aware that knowledge of how to read sheet music, or what we call music notation, is not necessary. You will see occasional music notation examples in the textbook. If you do know how to read music, that can be a little bit helpful, but otherwise just ignore it. It's not a big deal. As you go through the chapters, do pay particular attention to the listening guides when the textbook is talking about particular compositions and pieces of music. You'll want to jump right to the listening guides and to the playlist on the Digital Resources website and listen to those pieces of music right when you're at that point in the textbook. And by combining what you're reading with the actual sounds of the composition, it'll start to make sense to you. Also, at the beginning of each chapter, they have what they call key points. Those are kind of the main points in the chapter, so you'll want to pay particular attention to that. And besides your one required concert, it's just good to go out and attend lots of music performances. One magical thing about music is it's such a more alive experience when you hear a live band or a live orchestra. The access we have nowadays to digital music and streaming music and YouTube is all really great. It's really amazing. But understand that all that music has been compressed into ones and zeros, basically, to put it in the digital domain. And then when you further compress the music by putting it through a little teeny tiny computer speaker or your little earbuds or your teeny little speaker in your phone, once again, you're getting a very diminished sense of what the music really is, as opposed to like going to an orchestra performance and hearing an 80-piece orchestra, and you can hear those sound waves coming through the air and washing over your ears, and you can really feel the music in a live performance. So it is important to attend concerts, and basically I just described some of the differences between listening to recordings and listening to live concerts. A lot of the music you're going to listen to in this class is what we call art music, which music that was composed really for the sake of art, sometimes for commerce reasons, but a very different kind of category versus popular music. Now, some pop music does cross over if it's very artistic, and it might cross over into what we call art music. But we'll be focusing on the first category most of the time, art music. To find concerts, a couple different options for you here. On our CI Learn page for this course, I do have a folder called Find Concerts. I've compiled a list of all the major classical concerts that I know of that are going to be happening this semester. And these kinds of concerts, classical music concerts, are not nearly as frequent as like pop concerts, rock and roll concerts, things like that. So you do want to really plan ahead, determine which weekend you're going to go see a concert, go ahead and buy a ticket. Besides that resource, you can always look in your newspapers, either paper copies or online. Look in the weekend section or the arts section. Those will list concerts that are coming up. Also the websites of the different concert venues and the concert groups. And on my Find Concerts document, I have embedded the websites of a lot of those organizations too. So as a student, you always want to ask if a venue or a concert organization does have student discount tickets available. Some of them do, such as the New West Symphony that plays in Thousand Oaks and Oxnard. Even the LA Philharmonic in downtown LA at Disney Hall, a fabulous orchestra at a fabulous venue. They sometimes have student discount tickets. So you want to ask about that ahead of time and find out what the stipulations are. Generally, you have to show your student ID and show up 30 minutes ahead of time. So, going to a classical concert, attending a classical concert, there is certain etiquette involved, and there are traditions, as I said, that are hundreds of years old that you want to be aware of. These are sit-down concerts. There's not going to be a mosh pit at these concerts by any means. So formal. It's a formal kind of a thing. And you'll see some of the older people, and you will see a lot of older people at these concerts. They're from a generation who grew up with this kind of music, and you might even see gentlemen in like tuxedos or dark suits with long tie, ladies in fancy gowns. Now you don't have to go to that extreme, but just dress nice. Right here, as I said on the slide, no t-shirts for sure, no jeans, no shorts. I could add no flip-flops, no sandals. Dress nicely. A collared shirt for gentlemen. Ladies generally look nice, so you'll probably be all right. Do arrive early. I suggest getting to one of these concerts about a half hour early to get parked, pick up your tickets at will call if you need to, and just find your seat. One thing about classical concert is if you are late, they will hold you in the lobby. They shut the doors and they hold you in the lobby until the band or orchestra takes an intermission. And that might be 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes. So you don't want to do that. You want to be there for the whole concert. And lastly, on this slide, turn your phone completely off. No texting, no surfing. The light from a phone is very distracting in a dark auditorium, and you'll quickly earn the wrath of the other audience members if you're flashing your phone light around. So just turn it all the way off. For our concert assignment, do take a writing pad to take notes about the concert so you'll have some material to write about later. So you've entered the concert hall, you've been seated, you've got your program, you can read the notes, read a little bit about the pieces, and then you'll hear kind of a cacophony coming from the stage as all the instrumentalists are warming up their instruments and getting their fingers loose and playing just bizarre pieces of music that have nothing to do with the other people on stage. So it's just kind of a bedlam going on stage. When it's time to start, the lights in the auditorium will dim, and the concertmaster will come out, and that's the first chair violinist, and it can be a man or a woman. They still call it concertmaster even if it's a woman. And then the concertmaster directs the tuning ritual, where the members of the orchestra tune to a standard musical pitch, which is A for 40 in America. And once the tuning is finished, everybody's quiet, and then here comes the star of the show, the conductor. And there'll be a big applause for the conductor. And then the music starts. So what we're going to get into on the next slide is the applause conventions. And there are specific places to applaud in classical music, especially orchestra music, and they're not always where you would think they would be. When in doubt, watch the older members of the audience because they know what's going on. And then for operas, things are a little bit different. If people really love a certain song in the opera, they'll just break out spontaneously into applause. But here's a typical concert program from, and it features 3 pieces of music. There's a piece by Mendelssohn, Felix Mendelssohn, very famous composer, and that's just a single section of music. It happens to be a Shakespearean-influenced piece of music, Midsummer Night's Dream. So after that piece of music is finished, okay, orchestra finishes and everybody applauds. Yay, yay, bravo, bravo. All right. What's up next on the program is a piece by Mozart, one of the really famous names in musical history who we'll study quite a bit about. But notice, and this is a symphony form piece of music, and notice the Roman numerals. Whenever you have Roman numerals in a program, you're going to wait until all the Roman numerals have finished before you do any applause. And it's kind of weird because the orchestra will finish number 1, the Allegro vivace, and everything will come to a complete silence and stoppage, and it'll seem like a natural place to start clapping, but if you do that, you're going to appear to be very uneducated. So just chill and wait until they start the next piece. They'll do Andante cantabile. Again, there'll be a stop between movement number 2 and movement number 3, but don't clap, don't yell. Wait till the very end of the piece, and as this red arrow says here, that's when you're going to clap. And then typically there's an intermission. Everybody goes out into the lobby, you have a drink or whatever. Then the second half of the concert, in this particular show, they're doing a Russian composer, Tchaikovsky, very famous composer. You'll be learning about him in this course. And this is a concerto. A concerto generally features one instrument with the orchestra, sometimes a group of instruments, but this is a concerto for piano and orchestra. Gives you the key, B flat minor, opus number 23. And again, we see Roman numerals, 1, 2, and 3, and that's typical for concerto. Generally have 3 movements. Symphonies generally have 4 movements. But again, after they finish the first movement, and you have this little break here, everything's silent, musicians will shuffle their pages, but don't applaud, just wait there. Same thing between movement 2 and 3. That comes to a stop. Seems like a natural time to applaud, but resist that temptation. Wait till the very end of the piece. And here it shows the name of the piano soloist for the evening.